Hello everyone, welcome to this video lecture. My name is Ashwin Pazankar and this is the tutorial for macOS for developers. So in case you are very new to macOS operating system, then this tutorial is going to be very helpful to you. So in this tutorial we are going to learn a lot of things. So I have already made a list of topics that we are going to learn. Okay, and this file is available as a GitHub download to all of you. So just do not forget to check the description section of this video lecture and you will find the URL to the GitHub repository for this video lecture. Now let us get started by exploring the desktop of this entire operating system. Okay, so Mac OS is an operating system which is used for iMacs, MacBooks and Mac Mini line of computers produced by Apple. Now this is the kind of Apple menu. Okay, so this is not analogous to Windows menu. So if you are familiar with Windows or any one of the Linux desktops, then you will find actually that the Windows symbol or the Linux symbol will open a menu where you will have all of your programs listed. So Mac OS is not like that. So here you will find a few options. So let us go ahead and explore those options. So I'm going to click this first option. It is about this Mac. So if I click this, it is going to show us the information related to this Mac computer. So the operating system that is installed on this Mac computer is Mac OS High Sierra version 10.13.6, and this one is iMac model mid 2011 and it is 21.5-inch model. It has got 2.5 GHz Intel Core i5 processor. It has got 32 gigabytes of 1333 megahertz DDR3 RAM. So this is very old iMac computer and I had purchased it at reduced prices from a store in my hometown. Now it has got a default display and this tab actually explains the storage. Now let us have a look at the RAM. It has got 4 slots of RAMs and each slot has got a 1333 8GB DDR3 RAM memory chip. And all the memory slots are currently in use. So the specialty of Macs is that we can upgrade many models. That's why I purchased this old Mac and it had got only 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I upgraded it and I made it a 32 gigabyte Mac. Now you can actually find the information related to support and service in these two tabs. And now let me close this tab. So this menu option will provide us all the information related to this Mac. Now we are going to go to the system preferences and we are going to see some more important preferences. So here you can change almost every setting that is there in your Mac, but we are actually more interested in sharing. Okay, so if I click sharing option, it is actually showing me the option to share the hardware or the desktop of this Mac. So out of these two options are very useful. The first one is remote login and I have already made this remote login on. So I can log into this Mac using any SSH utility and I have enabled it for all the users and I have also enabled remote management. So I'm just going to click here computer settings and I have actually enabled the VNC also. So in case you have any sort of VNC viewer, you can connect to this Mac's desktop using VNC tool. So this is all about sharing. These are important options and make sure that you enable them if you want to access your Mac remotely. So let me close this. Now let us have a look at a few general characteristics of this Mac operating system. So basically if you want to launch any program, then you have to go to Launchpad and here the icons for all of your programs are listed. You can switch between the screens and I have installed quite a lot of programs here. So you can see IDLE, Python Launcher, Firefox, Xcode, Camtasia and WhatsApp and his App Cleaner as well as Thorny Python Editor. So these are all the programs installed by me and rest of the programs were installed by the vendor itself or the previous owner. I'm not sure who installed them, but the programs I pointed out were installed by me. Now I'm going to show you the command prompt of this Mac. Now if I hit the escape key, I am again back at the desktop. So here we have the main tab. Okay, so here you can find the trash bins. If you delete any program, then it will go to trash bin. If you delete any program or file, then it will go to this trash bin, and you can empty this trash bin like this, or you can restore those programs. Now in this section, all the programs that are currently opened, they will be visible, and here you have an option for downloads. So you can actually open that in Finder, and here you will see all these stuff downloaded by you. So these are a few files downloaded by my friend who was filling up an online form. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to move them to trash. Now here this trash can will be full. So if I click that, and if I say empty, and if I click again empty trash, it is going to remove all the items. So all the applications in this section where my mouse pointer is, that is bottom left, they are very important. So here we have a Finder program. Finder is like a file explorer. So here you can actually explore the file system of your Apple iMac. So here is the disk, and you can go to all the directories. So this is the root, and you can even explore your network from here. So this Archer C5 is my router, and we can even go to desktop directly. There are 4 items on my desktop. So out of that, 1 item is not necessary. I'm going to move it to the trash. And this is the Xcode IDE. This is Eclipse for JEE, and this is Eclipse for C, C++, and Python developer. Then I have my own documents, and here this is my folder. And we can even have a separate folder for downloads. So here, if you are going to download anything, that particular item will be visible. Basically, it will be stored in this particular directory after the download. So this is the file explorer of our Mac operating system. Then we have Launchpad. I have already shown you. If you click this, it is going to open a collection of icons on which, when we click, they are going to open the relevant programs. Then here we have Safari browser. It comes built in with your Mac OS. Now we are going to go through the command prompt of the Mac. So there are many ways we can launch the command prompt or the terminal emulator for Mac. So I can just go to Mac Launchpad, and then I can type in terminal, and this is the symbol for terminal. So this is the command prompt for the Mac operating system. It is a terminal emulator. So I can either open it this way, or here we have the shortcut for terminal. So if I open it, it is going to show such a window. So here we can type various commands. I can just type in pwd, which is the command for the present working directory. And if I hit enter, it is going to show me the home directory of my user. My user's name is Apple, and this is the home directory of that user. Now if you want to have a list of shells available with Apple's Mac OS, you can just type in the command cat/etc/shells. So this is the list of available shells with this operating system. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this command, and I'm going to paste it in this document, which is going to be made available to all of you in my GitHub repository. Let us save this. There is another important shell command that is going to let us know what shell we are using. That is echo $shell. So the Apple's Mac OS uses bash as the default shell, and I'm going to copy this command also, and I'm going to paste it here. So another important thing related to your Mac terminal is the size of the font. Now we can definitely change the size and font of whatever we are going to type on this terminal using the preferences. So there must be some preferences here. So let us check here. Okay, so here in the terminal menu option, we have an option for preferences. So let me click this, and here we can see what sort of appearance we want to choose for our terminal. So I always stick to this basic appearance which is there by default, and here we can change the font. So I have made it 48 points. We can even make it 50 or something like that. So I guess there are many choices we can make. 64, we can even make it 48. And this way we can change the size of the font. We can even change the character spacing, and we can even change the line spacing. But I'm going to keep it as it is. I really do not want to disturb anything which is working. So you can even choose the family of the font as well as how it should appear. You can have it italic, bold, or bold italic, or even regular. So I'm not going to change anything because everything is perfect for my eyesight. So I'm just going to close it, and I'm also going to close this window. So this is all about the command prompt and shell and terminal in the Mac OS. Now let us see in the list what is next. So one of the greatest drawbacks of this Mac operating systems is that it doesn't come with very easy to use package manager. That's why many developers have developed a package manager known as Homebrew. So you can find the details about that package manager at www.brew.sh. So I have already mentioned the link in the document. So let us go ahead and copy this link and paste it in the address bar of the Safari web browser. So here is the home page of Homebrew project. So it reads that the missing package manager for Mac OS or Linux. Now you can install the Homebrew with this command here. So for your convenience, I have also copied this command and saved it in the text document that I am referring to. So I'm anyway going to copy this and paste it and run it in the command prompt. So let's open the command prompt again, and if I paste it and hit enter, it is going to ask me for the admin password. So it is saying that this script will install user local bin brew, homebrew, brew1, and few other related programs. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. So I have already installed Homebrew on this. So it is going to download everything very quickly, and it is just going to skip all the packages that are already installed. So if there is any update, it is definitely going to install. See, it seems that Homebrew has successfully been installed or updated, and I'm just going to check it by echo $? And it returns 0. It means that the script ran successfully. So this Homebrew is the package manager that we want. We can install many commands and utilities with Homebrew. So the way to use it is brew install htop. So htop is a graphical top utility. So it is downloading the current version of this htop, and it is going to take quite a while to download all the related packages. So I'm just going to skip this part where it is going to download everything related. So we were installing the htop utility, and we were waiting for the htop installation to finish. We were using the Homebrew utility in order to install the htop. Okay, so it seems that the installation is still not complete. So we are just going to wait for installation to finish, and meanwhile we are going to explore few other aspects of our Mac OS computer. Now I was talking about Homebrew. Now there is another installation manager known as MacPorts. So I'm just going to go to the homepage of this MacPort, and I have mentioned the link in the description. So this is the MacPort project official homepage. The MacPorts project is an open source community initiative to design an easy to use system for compiling, installing, and upgrading either command line, X11 or Aqua based open source software on Mac operating system. To that end, we provide command line driven MacPorts software package under 3-clause BSD license, and through it is easy access to thousands of ports that greatly simplify the task of compiling and installing open source software on your Mac. So we can actually check what all softwares are available with Mac ports. Okay, so I can just type in the name of utility that I want to install, and yes, so we were actually checking for the HTOP utility, and it seems that HTOP utility is available with Mac ports also. So we are going to try to install this utility with Mac ports too. So this way, there are thousands of utilities that are available with Mac ports. So we have very popular ports of wget, git, ffmpeg, ImageMagick, Core Utils, Nmap, CMake, YouTube DL, Bash, and HTOP. Okay, so HTOP is one of the popular utilities. Now, first of all, we need to install this Mac ports, and here we have the option for installing Mac ports. So we can install Mac ports for the version of our Mac operating system. So I have Mac OS High Sierra, which is kind of the legacy unsupported Mac OS operating systems version. So I'm just going to click this option for High Sierra, and probably it is going to start downloading a file. So here it is downloading the file. We can see Mac ports 2.7.1 10.13 High Sierra .pkg, and if I click this file, it is going to launch an installation wizard. So welcome to the very first installation on your Mac OS. So let me continue, and it is going to ask us to agree an agreement, and let's install it. And it is going to ask us for admin password. So it is writing the files now, and it is going to take quite a while for the files to be written. And it seems that the installation is about to finish. So it is going to take a minute to install it. So we have a message that says the installation was successful and the software was installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this, and it is asking us if we want to move this Mac ports installer to trash. So let us move it to the trash. Okay, so the Mac ports has been installed. Now we are going to see how to use the Mac ports. So I'm just going to open another window for the bash, and I'm going to say sudo port install htop and apple. So it is going to go ahead and install htop using Mac port. So it is fetching the archives for htop. Okay, so it is, I guess, downloading. No, it has already downloaded. Okay, it seems that the installation is successful. So I'm just going to say echo dollar question mark, which returns the status of the last executed command on the command prompt. So it means that the installation is successful because this command returns 0. So I'm just going to fire that command now, htop, and hit enter button. And here we can see the graphical output, and here it actually shows us all the resources of the system. So we can see all the 4 CPUs are 100% busy, and out of 32 gigabytes memory, 7.61 gigabyte memory is busy, and there are 337 tasks and 533 threads, and load average is 14.91. So this is quite high load average. And if you want to quit this utility, we can just hit Q. So I guess another window of terminal is also trying to install htop, and it is still struggling to do that. So this Mac ports utility is very handy, and depending on the situation, you can either choose to use brew utility or Mac ports utility. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this window because there is no point in trying to install Mac ports again. So let us terminate this. Now we can also install various browsers. We can use Mozilla browser, or we can even install Chrome browser from Google. So these are two URLs that will take you to the download and installation page, and you will be able to download the Apple disk image file and you will be able to install both the browsers. So I have already installed both the browsers and you can find them here in the Launchpad. So here we have Google Chrome and here we have the Firefox. So depending on the application, you can choose any of the three browsers that you have now. So we already have this Safari browser that is built in with macOS. Now we are going to explore how to compile C and C++ programs on macOS. So let us open a new window of the command prompt. So let us try to search for CC or GCC compilers. So CC hyphen hyphen version. So it seems that it has got Apple LLVM version 10.0.0 CLang. So we can even compile a program with CLang hyphen hyphen version. Okay, and let us check for the GCC compiler GCC hyphen hyphen version. Okay, so we can configure this with prefix library developer and it is also pointing to LLVM compiler. We can even have G++ hyphen hyphen version and it is also probably pointing to LLVM. Okay, so it is also pointing to LLVM compiler. Now we are going to see Xcode IDE. So Apple's macOS comes with Xcode IDE or you can also install it. So if you want to install it, you can just copy this command xcode hyphen select hyphen hyphen install. Let's paste it and let's hit enter. So it says error, command line tools are already installed. Use software update to install the updates. So it seems that the Xcode IDE is already installed and I already have it here on my desktop. You can also find it in the Launchpad. So I'm just going to launch it from Launchpad. So let us create a new Xcode project. So here we can choose what sort of project we need to create. And I'm going to say Mac OS and command line tool. Next is the language. I'm going to use C language and product name is test. And I'm going to click next. And let us say create. Okay, so let us go to the earlier directory and here we can create it. Okay, and here we have the main.c file and here we can choose the compiler, default C source, and okay, and yes, so we can just go ahead and build it. Okay, it says build failed. So let us say default C source and it says build was successful. And here we can see the output. So here we have the output hello world and it says program ended with successful exit code 0. So just now we have seen how to compile and successfully run a C program with Xcode IDE. So I have just figured out how to change the font size of everything here in the Xcode IDE. For that we need to go to Xcode, then we need to go to preferences. So in preferences, choose the theme that you have and then select everything, okay? So press the shift key and click the last entry in this, okay? So here this is your theme and this is the default light theme. And then I have chosen everything here. So I just press shift key and then while it is pressed, I click the last option here. So it shows it everything. Now here we can go and here we can click the font option and we can change the font here as per our convenience. So earlier I had 32 and now I'm changing it to 28. So this is how we can change the font in Xcode editor. So I will just save everything and I will just exit. Okay. So now we have exited from the Xcode. Again, let us learn how to create a sample C++ project. So create a new Xcode project. Again, choose command line tool, click next, project name test1, and here you can choose C++. If you click next again, it is going to ask you for the location. So I'm just going to click create and it is going to create an empty C++ project in that directory. Basically, it is going to create a directory known as test1 in that, and it is going to create a empty main.cpp file. Now here we can say default C++ source and we can just click here the build option. So now it is building it. Now the build is successful and let us try to execute it again. Okay, so it automatically executed while building it and it reads hello world. So this is the output, it reads hello world. So I have just realized that the font size in this output window is also small. So let us try to change that. So let us go to the Xcode, let us go to the preferences, and here we had actually changed the font size for the source editor. We can even go to the console option and we can choose everything. Just keep the shift key pressed and then click the last option here and it is going to choose everything. And let's go to the fonts and colors and there should be actually an option for fonts. So I'm just going to say let's make it 20. Okay, so now everything is cool. And let's close this. Let's close this also. And here we have everything in very big font. Now let us go ahead and install Python 3 on this macOS computer. So for that I'm going to open the web browser. So here I have Google Chrome installed. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it and I'm just going to say python.org. Python.org. And it is going to take me to the Python's homepage. Now I'm just going to hover my mouse pointer over the downloads section and it is automatically detecting the operating system. Here you can see it says download for macOS. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click this button where it reads Python 3.10.0. So it starts downloading the package. Basically this is an installable package and as soon as the download finishes, this symbol jumps. So it has been downloaded to your download folder, to be very specific your user's download folder, and now I'm just going to click this and it is going to launch the installation wizard. See here we have the installation wizard. So let me minimize the browser. Okay, so here we have the installation wizard and I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. So here we have installation options and all. You can customize it if you want. So I'm not going to customize anything and then I'm just going to say continue. And here we have history and license. And if I say continue now, it is going to ask you whether you agree or disagree. So just go ahead and click the agree button. and it shows us the available disk space and the total disk space. And if you have multiple disk, it is going to show all those disks here. So as of now, I just have a single disk here, and then I'm just going to say continue again. Okay, so here you can change the installation location, but there is no need to change the location. That's why I'm just going to keep it as it is. And I'm going to click the install button now. And see, it asks you for the admin password. So I'm just going to go ahead and enter my password. And yes, so it is now copying the files from this package, installation package, to the local disk. So it is going to take quite a while. Let us wait. It won't take a lot of time. So it seems that the installation is complete, and here you can see the directory where we can find the launcher applications. And so if I go to the application section here and if I check, so here you will find that directory where you will find all the launchers. So this is the Python launcher and this is the IDLE. Okay, and so this is it. This is how we can install Python programming language on a Mac computer. So it is still installing all the package scripts. So let us wait for some more time. Okay, so it seems that the Python installation is complete, and I'm just going to go ahead and close this window. And it asks us if we want to move that installation file to the trash. So as of now, we don't need this file. So I'm just going to go ahead and move it to the trash. Okay, so this is the command prompt. So I'm going to exit it now. Okay, and let me close this and let me reopen a new window. So now this is a little bit tricky situation because Python 2 automatically ships with all the latest versions of Mac OS. So if you just type in Python, it launches Python 2.7.10. Okay, so this is the latest version of Python 2.7. So it hasn't been under active development, we all know that. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit it. So if you want to check the version without invoking the interpreter mode, you can just say Python -v and it returns the version of Python 2. Now for Python 3, the name of the executable is Python 3. So let me clear the screen and I'm just going to say Python 3. And if I hit enter, it launches Python 3. And if I just say exit, it exits it. And we can again check the version of Python 3 by -v. And it is this version of Python, Python 3, that we are going to use for all of our development projects. So I can just go to the Finder or Launchpad and go to the applications here and double click Python 3.10, and if I double click IDLE, it is going to open the IDLE shell for Python. So here we can type in the programs. So I'm just going to say print hello world. And we can also create a new file and use this in the script mode. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it now. Now IDLE is good, but we need a better IDE. So for that I'm going to go to the Thonny Python project, THONNY. Thonny is an IDE for Python. So here you have the Mac section. So here we have the Mac section and I'm going to click it. So it has launched a download stuff, and yes, the download is complete now. And I'm just going to click this package file and it is going to launch an installation wizard. So let me minimize the browser window and let's go ahead and continue this installation. Continue and agree. So the installation is always going to be a simple affair with all the packaging and all. So let me continue this and let's install it. Again, it asks us for the admin password, which I'm going to enter now. So it will take some time for the installation to finish, and then I'm going to show you how we can work with Thonny Python editor on Mac OS. So let's wait. Okay, it reads that the installation was successful. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. And it is again asking us if we want to keep the file. No, we don't want to keep the file, and I'm just going to move it to the trash. Okay, the file has been moved to the trash. Now we can find it with Launchpad. So this is the Thonny Python editor. So I will just click it and it has launched Thonny Python editor. Okay, so let us have a small overview of the Thonny Python editor. So here we have the command prompt and here we have the script mode. You can just go ahead and save it. It is going to open save as window. Okay, and yeah, so it is opening a save as in window and you can actually save your script to the location in the disk. So as of now, we are not going to get into a lot of details right from the beginning, but here you can type in the code in the interpreter mode and it is just going to say hello world. Yes, so it shows the output. Now the thing is that the character font is a little bit small. So I'm just going to go ahead and open the preferences. So let us go ahead and see where we can find preferences. Yes, so here we have the preferences. So I'm just going to click this window. Okay, so again let me repeat. So here you just have to click on Thonny and the second option is preferences. Also, I forgot to tell you that this Thonny Python editor is a free software, so don't worry about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and check everything. So this is the interpreter and this is the editor and then this is the theme and font. So it reads here console as 20 and courier 20. So this is the font for the IO. So whatever we are typing in the interpreter window, it is set to 20. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it a bit bigger, not a lot, or let's make it a lot bigger to a point where everything is comfortable to our eyes. And yes, or let me make it even bigger. Yes, 35. 35 seems to be a very good thing because the size of the screen here is quite big, and here this is how we can set the font and size of the font. And this is the option tab for editor. And let me go to the interpreter section. So here you can set the interpreter. So it happens many times that your Mac OS has got multiple instances of Python. So in that case, you can choose the instance of Python that you want to associate with your Thonny editor. So by default, the setting is going to be the same interpreter which runs Thonny by default. Okay, and if I say OK, the interpreter that runs Thonny by default is Python 3.7.9. So whenever you install Thonny, it comes with its own Python interpreter and by default it associates with that. But if you have multiple instances of Python, then you can set the preferences as I have already explained you. So here in this interpreter tab, go to the alternative Python 3 interpreter or virtual environment and here you can enter the location. Okay, so you can find out this location by running the command which python 3. So this is the path that we need to copy or note down and paste in the Thonny. So here /user /local /bin /python 3 is the path of the Python 10 interpreter that we have manually installed from python.org. Okay, and so this is it. This is very simple how to set the interpreter. And if I just say OK now, here you can see that it has again changed the interpreter. And it says for Python 3.7.9, it says bundled. Bundled means bundled with Thonny Python editor. And this one is the user installation of Python 3. So this is how we can use the Thonny editor, and this is how we can set the font and all. So I can just say print hello world. As you can see, it also has the facility of the syntax highlighting. And if I go ahead and save it and execute it, it is going to show us the same result. It is going to print hello world on this interpreter. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it now. And I don't want to save the file, so I will just say no. So this is how we can install and work with Thonny Python editor. Now let us go ahead and see how to install Jupyter Lab on Mac OS. So it comes with PIP3 utility. Whenever you install Python 3, it automatically installs PIP3 utility. And I'm just going to see if that utility is there or not. And -v. Yes, so it says PIP 21.2.3 and it is associated with Python 3.10. So I'm just going to say PIP3 install Jupyter Lab, and if I hit enter, it will start the installation of Jupyter Lab. And I can also install Jupyter Notebook like this, Jupyter PIP3 install Jupyter and finally PIP3 install Notebook.
So let us conclude this video lecture. We have gone through a lot of content in this single video. So in the beginning, we studied the basics of Mac OS and how to invoke the program. Then we also saw terminal in the Mac OS. We installed various package managers, and then we also installed browsers. We installed Xcode IDE, and we learned how to write programs with C and C++ and how to execute them with Xcode. We also learned how to install Python and Thonny Python editor and Jupyter Lab as well as Jupyter Notebook. So I hope that you have understood all the concepts I have explained and demonstrated in this video lecture. Thanks a lot for watching this video lecture. Do let me know if you have any questions, queries or comments about the topics that I have explained in this video lecture. You can let me know your concerns and queries and suggestions in the comment section of this video. You are going to find the link to the GitHub repository where I'm saving this entire text document in the description section of this video down below. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel in case you want to be notified for the more videos that I'm going to upload about Python programming and programming in general. So thanks a lot once again, and I will see you next time.